Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do your December the 17th, just for today, in a meditation. The title of that meditation today is Service Motives. Service Motives. Everything that occurs in the course of NA service must be motivated by the desire to more successfully carry the message of recovery to the addict who still suffers. That comes from the basic text, page Roman numeral 26. Our motives are often a surprise to us. In our early days of recovery, they were almost always a surprise. We've learned to check our motives through prayer, meditation, the steps, and talking to our sponsor or other addicts. When we find ourselves with an especially strong urge to do or have something, it's particularly important to check our motives to find out what we really want. In early recovery, many of us throw ourselves into service with great fervor before we have started the regular practice of motive checking. It takes a while before we become aware of the real reasons for our zeal. We may want to impress others, show off our talents, or be recognized and important. Now, these desires may not be harmful in another setting, expressed through another outlet. In a service, however, they can do serious damage. When we decide to serve NA, we make a decision to help addicts find and maintain recovery. We have to carefully check our motives in service, remembering that it's much easier to frighten away using addicts than to convince them to stay. When we show them game playing, manipulation, or pomposity, we present an unattractive picture of recovery. However, the unselfish desire to serve others creates an atmosphere that is attractive to the addict who still suffers. Just for today, I will check my motives for the true spirit of service. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Service motives. So we're talking about our motives for doing service, and the reality that a lot of times, especially if we got into service in early recovery, we probably really honestly weren't at the stage where we had completed the steps, and completing the steps is not a requirement for service work. Usually just 90 days or whatever the time clean requirement is. And so what that means is that when we started doing service, 9 times out of 10, we may not have really understood that we do service, the right thing for the right reasons, so that we can carry this message to still suffering addicts. We probably had no reason to say, well, what's your real motive, MightyStream, for wanting to be chair of chairs for this, or chair of the service board? What is your real motive for this? There would be no reason for me to go that deep. And in my particular area, a lot of times the motive is that the position needs to be carried out in order for the functionality of the group to continue. Not even necessarily that someone has experience in doing it or the required amount of clean time. It's such a level of desperation in the area for individuals to do service work that a lot of times just having the willingness to do it is often enough. So now that we've grown up, though, right? Now that we're maturing in recovery, we know how to apply, steps 6 and 7, right? In our recovery. We know how to apply it in our pursuing of anything. We're watching out now for our character defects, and we're paying attention to when we fall short because of the character defects. And so that's something that we want to be mindful of, is that today we can check our motives. We know how to check our motives to make sure that we have a true spirit of service. Yeah, you're still going to get people that do a lot of game playing, manipulation, pomposity. In this area, a lot of that happens with certain groups. And it's highly unattractive. And, honestly speaking, the newcomer probably isn't sitting in the business meeting. They're probably not paying attention to that part of the program. But there's still people that are still suffering, that are connected to, this is my home group, let me show up for that business meeting, and turned off by the things that they may see. And we're doing a greater harm when we carry out things for the wrong reasons, when we do service for the wrong reasons. Ultimately, this is what I feel. If an individual is doing service work for the right reasons, there's very little that can take place that will cause them to act out on character defects when serving. A lot of times, the chaos that a person might see in service committees or business meetings has more to do with the stuff going on outside of that meeting that has been brought along, unfinished business outside of the meetings that has been brought along into that particular service meeting, that business meeting. And so now you have individuals trying to prove something, game playing, manipulation, pomposity, right? Just general unattractive behavior, because they have something they're trying to prove that has absolutely nothing to do with the position. So today, don't be that person. Today, be the individual that you're able to check your motives for your service and make sure that your motives are true. And if they're not, and you can't reel them in, redirect them, then it might be time for a period of rotation where you step aside. And that's heavy to say, right? That's heavy to say. Coming from me, that's a big statement. But none of us have the right to affect the atmosphere of recovery in a negative way. And if we can't refrain from doing so, then it's possible that we need to do something different so that we make sure that we're not chasing people away from the program because we're hung up on who dated so-and-so last year, or who did such and such last year, or that person made an error in this position, so why should they get an opportunity to do this position? We don't deserve, we don't have the power to do that. And the newcomer and the still suffering addict don't deserve to be subjected to that. So let's be thorough in our motives, right? Checking our motives and being sure that it has a true spirit of service. All right, enough said on that one. I can go on forever, but my name is MightyStream, and I have enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to have a beautiful day on purpose. I hope you do too.